This is a picture of a few students that I worked with last year. We became very close. They are all children of immigrants and English language learners. I chose the topic of the ELL student experience in the Canadian elementary classroom because of the students that I have worked with for the past 4 years. According to the 2021 census, just over 1.3 million new immigrants settled permanently in Canada from 2016 to 2021, the highest number of recent immigrants recorded in a Canadian census. Canada aims to welcome 465,000 new permanent residents in 2023, 485,000 in 2024, and 500,000 in 2025. With this many immigrants entering in the coming years, we as educators need to find a way to teach English as skillfully as we can to the children who arrive in our elementary schools. English language learner students in elementary school face a difficult set of challenges resulting from the racism and colonialism that are directly woven into how we teach English from a macro perspective, looking at society as a whole. We as teachers need to teach in a more interdisciplinary way, make resources more accessible for students and their families, and support students and families in their home language. Suhanthi Matha, a teacher in anti-racist teaching, postulates that teaching English as we do reinforces colonial divisions of power and racial inequalities, is also responsible for heritage language loss, and is responsible for the extinction of less commonly spoken languages and inequitable distribution of global wealth and resources. Karl Marx, a sociologist who noticed vast differences in wealth during the rise of industrialism, would agree with Matha that schools are simply enforcing class struggles that are already present in society. Emile Durkheim, a French sociologist, would say that by teaching students English, we are allowing them to be part of our society and therefore combating individualism and fulfilling a need for society. When we discuss each sociologist's viewpoints, we are looking at the issue from a macro perspective or a large society-based perspective. Now let's look at the issue from a more micro perspective, which would allow us to look at the learner as an individual. Another struggle ELL students must face is something referred to as native speaker. Becoming a native speaker is an untenable goal for English language learners and is reminiscent of colonial language, as if English is owned by white Anglo-Americans or Brits. Instead of using a monolingual module in the schools, we should be aiming for a bilingual approach. During our interview about this topic, A mentioned that she has told families to narrate what happens at home in their home languages. This will increase a student's descriptive language, which will in turn help with processing all language. In this way, we are already trying to uphold a quote-unquote second language model by encouraging students and their parents to continue learning their home language while learning English at school. In order to combat colonialism and monolingualism, interdisciplinary teaching is key. Usually, students who are learning English are removed from their classrooms. But if we teach English to our whole class in an interdisciplinary way, weaving it throughout the day and the subjects, the students would learn in a more holistic way. In a study done in Southern California, it was determined that learning English with an interdisciplinary focus was more fluid and successful than simply learning it alone. The teachers went against the school district mandate of reading one whole story per day and read 1 page per day, focusing on the unknown words and connecting them to other parts of the curriculum. This created, and I quote, teachable moments, interdisciplinary dialogues where teachers and students work cooperatively, analyzing how texts include knowledge from different content areas, end quote. Developing interdisciplinary instruction and using students' background knowledge and language as tools to enhance the lessons created a positive impact on learning. I believe that the goal of helping students learn English is so that they can communicate in their new country, as well as understand everything that is happening around them. Just as my friend explained that she narrates the world for her toddler so that she can interpret the world around her, so we should be giving our students the language and skills to interpret their surroundings. One of the tools we can give our students and their families is Storybooks Canada, which is an online library resource for teachers and students. It offers online books in many different languages. The stories available were selected to purposefully include diverse people and universal values. They are also developing Indigenous Canadian storybooks to include our many Indigenous people and their stories. There was a study done in the Greater Vancouver area that investigated Storybooks Canada being used by educators to help ELL students. The study investigated how an open-access multilingual digital platform, such as Storybooks Canada, might serve the interest of students who wish to learn English and also maintain their home language. The study found that this allowed students to feel represented when they usually weren't in classroom settings. Another helpful aspect of this resource is that students can toggle between their home language and English when needed. The books are available in 30 different languages. There are also 5 levels of difficulty to make it more accessible to a diverse range of students. With this website, students can read stories in their home languages with their families. It helps parents who don't have time to read to their children at home or who don't know how to read in English. It promotes early reading because kids are more engaged and think it's fun to read on a website. The teachers also found that it promoted a positive home and school reading relationship, more so than previously. Another resource for immigrant students is the Settlement Workers in Schools program, SWIS program. This is a program that my colleague mentioned during our interview that is available for all students whose families are immigrants. It should be mentioned to families when they register their children in school, but it is also easily searchable online. On the website, there is an email address and phone number for contact. On the website, there's also a list of languages in which Swiss workers can provide service. They can help families with many different things they need to know, from registering their children for school, working and living in Canada. They can refer families to other services and resources that are needed. There is a whole list of needs that workers help families with, and at the bottom of the website, there is a link to the outreach program in Abbotsford. Remembering the not-so-distant past when teachers forced Indigenous children to give up their home language in order to learn English, there has been some improvement. Moving towards a bilingual approach instead of a monolingual one is an improvement. However, we still have a long way to go to get to where we need to be as educators. I hope that some of the practical ways I have mentioned show how we can make a difference from a micro perspective dealing with individual children and their families. There are many ways we can welcome immigrant families into our schools and communities. We can learn more about their culture, try learning a few words in their language, show our students how difficult it is to learn a new language. Above all else, we can show compassion, make sure that each ELL student feels part of our community and truly valued because they are.